On today's show, Luka Doncic was great, but what went wrong for the Dallas Mavericks in their Game 1 loss to the Suns? And we'll tell you what went right for them on today's Locked On Mavs.
I'm Luka Doncic, and this is Locked On Mavericks podcast.
The Dallas Mavericks are NBA champions. Bang! Bang! It's good!
And the Mavericks have won the game!
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
Welcome. You're locked on to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member and NBA channel manager for the Locked On Podcast Network. Thanks for making Locked On Mavs your first listen every day, even after a loss like that one.
Yes.
We are free and available on all platforms, including YouTube, where you can subscribe to the show. Best way you can help us is to comment anything below. And we welcome all Suns fans that are going to comment below.
Wait, sure you're Suns fans?
I'm sure everyone will be cordial in the comment section below.
Thanks for watching, though, Suns fans. Thanks for clicking and give us the download. It helps us.
Today's episode, I hope that makes them mad. Like, I don't want to give them my view. Today's episode is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline has you covered the season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline, where the game starts. And joining me, as always, my co-host, writer, and contributor at Mavs.com. Co-host of the #1 podcast / show on the Locked On Podcast Network in May. The dominating dude, the one we're thinking. What you got for me, Isaac Harris?
Oh, man. Thank you for listening to the show the past
Let's start
month.
with that good piece of news.
I was going to say that. Seriously, making the whole show in the month of April, just the top show on the whole network is insane. That's counting college. And,
by a lot.
Yeah, by a lot. That's obviously with the NFL draft and everything. Y'all killed it. Mavs fans killed it. It's so cool just seeing y'all support.
Thank you. Raccoon
This game
Squad showed up.
Yes, y'all showed up, and y'all showed up for the Mavs too. It's been super cool. You know, it's super cool seeing the fan base get to experience we get to see our team in the second round, right? This is something we've won over the past few years, and it's just a reminder going into this Suns series that, hey, if you make it to the second round, you're going to play a dang good team, especially if you play the #1 seed in your conference that's won 64 games. And they're the best team in the league for a reason. They're the team that a lot of people pick to win the title. So it's frustrating. I hear it. I was frustrated with a lot of you guys and wanting that shot at and everything in this game 1, but it's also one game 2. So it's fun to be here, fun to be on this stage.
That game, especially the first 4 to 5 minutes, was an extreme wake-up call for the Dallas Mavericks.
Good morning, Isaac.
Straight up.
Good morning, Isaac.
Good
Did
morning,
you see Gallagher's
Isaac.
meme of Dorothy? This isn't Utah anymore. I was like, yeah, this is not Utah anymore.
Yeah, right. Oh, Dorothy. Why did my brain go to Dorothy Gentry? No, I want Dorothy from Wizard of Oz. That's definitely a more accessible meme. This Mavericks team came out of the gate and just looked like they had never played in a playoff game in their entire life. We're going to start with what went wrong for the Mavs, then go with what went right. And then in the third segment, we're going to try to talk you down a little bit. We're going to go glass half full. What things went right for the Mavs and talk about that. But we got to talk about how the Mavericks lost this game and how it got so bad. 3 out of the first 4 possessions for the Mavericks were turnovers. Think about everything that went right for the Mavericks in the first round, where they had games where they just didn't have a turnover in an entire half. They didn't turn the ball over a lot at all. They averaged 8.7 turnovers per game in the first round series against Utah. And then all of a sudden you come out and 3 of your first 4 possessions are turnovers. The Suns defense is on a completely different level than what the Jazz plays. Obviously, we knew that 2 days ago. We said on this podcast, you got to be ready because this team is just on a completely different level than what the Mavs saw. You can't get away with literally any mistakes. I was saying, you can't get away with a lot of mistakes. You can't get away with any mistakes against this Suns team. They're just so good. They're built really well. That they've had different. They've had a ton of draft picks over the last 10 years or so, and they've nailed some of them. The Booker pick they nailed. The Ayton pick was good. Maybe not the best pick, but they did nail. They did get it.
He's so good though.
They did get it right, and he's incredible. And that the tone that set from this game, the Suns started out 9-0, and the Mavericks really never recovered from that 9-0. They got it down to they get it down to 5 a couple times. They got it down to I think 4. I think they got it down to 4 once before halftime. But the Mavericks never really recovered from that bad start.
It's their defense is so good. I mean, this team was what, top 5, top 7 in
Top
both
three.
offense,
Top
both
three
offense
defensively.
and defense.
Yeah.
There's two things that their defense does well. A lot of times when you talk about Phoenix's defense, you're like, okay, they got these great perimeter defenders and Mikal Bridges, which he's amazing.
Great.
And then they got bodies, and these Jay Crowder and Cam Johnson, these guys that throw out people. But there's two things they do really well. And one, they rotate so well. Like, it is unbelievable the difference of seeing defensive rotations from Utah to Phoenix is just, it's not, you could do this, do that for a lot of things, from Gobert to Ayton to defensive rotations to just team chemistry, like it's completely different from Utah.
Chris Paul's leadership to Mitchell's leadership. Like, I mean, that's just a.
But also something that from the opening tip, we talked about pick and roll a lot of like, hey, is this a way Dallas could try to exploit it and all this stuff? Ayton drops so far on these pick and rolls because Mikal Bridges is fighting his butt off over these screens. And when you have a guy that has a 6'10", 6'11" wingspan that Mikal does,
that can block corner threes on a closeout like he did against Bullock.
And that's defensive rotations right there.
Yeah.
But he's fighting so hard. Not only is he good at it, but he's fighting so hard over these screens. It's allowing Ayton to drop so far to where he's taking Dwight kind of out of, like, Dwight's borderline useless in this whole series. So, I mean, I'm sure we'll talk about it later on, but it's like that was negating Dwight. Ayton was dropping so far because Mikal was recovering. So, like, he was getting through the screen. So that was, they do that so well. They fight over screens so well. They rotate so well. They communicate. So, like, it's just, they're the number one team for a reason in the league. And defensively, it felt like they took it up even another step tonight.
This team was top 3 in the NBA in offensive rating and defensive rating, and only 25 teams in NBA history have won 64 or more games. This is a really good team. Like, we should not underestimate this team at all, which is what we've been saying the last couple of days. But it started with that start. That start was bad. You could see Phoenix just imposing their will defensively. The Mavs just really panicking, honestly panicking at the beginning of this game. Oh my God, we can't get passes off. Like, we can't pass against this team, it felt like. And Luka had to take over. And like the Mavs at 6 minutes, they had 4 fouls, they had 3 turnovers, and they went 3 of 8 from the field. It just looked completely out of it. It was 6-18 at that point. The Mavs were down. And then Kid finally put in Maxey for Dwight, and it was their first, like, okay, well, let's change up what we're doing a little bit and change, the rotation and do our normal rotation. I was like, I don't know if you should just do the normal rotation in a game where you look completely out of your depth.
Yeah, well, the Brunson one was massive. Just Brunson picking up those 3 fouls. He could just never get into a rhythm. You just lump Dinwiddie into this. If you just want to zoom out and say, hey, what's the biggest reason Dallas, lost this game? It's 2 things. It's Phoenix was extremely hot, and Spencer Dinwiddie and Jalen Brunson combined for 5 points through 3 quarters. Like, there you go. I mean, that's the game. Like, I mean,
the whole game.
That's the game, especially with the team, like how Dallas is.
Phoenix was hot for a reason. The Mavs are giving them open shots, but.
Oh yeah. But it goes back to this thing of how dang good Phoenix is. Yeah. Because before some of you say they shot 50%, that's a fluke. They're never going to do that again. Well, do I have news for you? They were number 1 in the league in field goal percentage this season at 48%. Number 1 in the league at 48%. So will they get 63% like through 3 quarters basically?
Yeah, right.
Probably not that. But they shoot it really, really well. Like, they're good. I don't know what else to say.
This team through 3 quarters shot 60% from the field, 50% from 3, and 100% from the free throw line. I mean, that is a little fluky. Like, that could come, like, that'll regress back down to the mean a little bit. And so we're
going to talk about positives because there's some things that Dallas did in the 4th quarter. In this 3rd segment, we'll talk about the positives of view from this, that Dallas has a shot.
But we got to talk a little bit more about what went wrong. Jalen Brunson is a big factor for the Mavericks. He was huge in the first round series. What went wrong for Jalen Brunson? How can he change that a little bit going forward? We'll talk about that coming up. But before we do, let me tell you about BetOnline. It's the best way to check out the odds and lines for everything in sports. Hope you checked out some of the NFL draft stuff over the weekend. There was some incredible lines that were flying around. There's a ton of NBA draft stuff right now. There's a bunch of NBA games. The Warriors in the series are now minus 525 favorite against the Grizzlies. Vegas BetOnline's really liking that Warriors game 1 win. Comparison, the Bucks are only a minus 140 series favorite against the Celtics. So, I mean, if you take a look at those numbers, they really think that the Warriors are definitely going to win this. So if you feel strongly about either of those series, you want to go check out some of the other game props they have. They don't have the Mavericks next game up for game 2, but you can check it out. I'm sure by the time you listen to this, they will have it up. It's BetOnline, where the game starts. All right, Isaac, thanks for making Locked On Mavs your first listen every day like all of you do. Now for your next listen, check out the Locked On Now podcast, nightly recaps of every NBA game with analysis from our local experts. It's free and available wherever you get your podcast. That's Locked On Now. All right, Isaac, we're talking about what went wrong. Jalen Brunson has to be almost at the top, like near the top of this list for the Mavericks. He goes 6 of 16 from the field, just 3 assists. He has only 1 turnover, but just 13 points for him in 30 minutes. That first half, he talked about it. He got his 3rd foul with 8 minutes and 23 seconds left in the second quarter. He only played 11 minutes in the first half. In comparison, Dwight Powell played 11 minutes in the first half, and we just got done talking about how he's been kind of rendered useless in this series a little bit because of Ayton. Jalen Brunson has to get going for the Mavericks. It's key for the Mavericks' playoff success. They needed this secondary guy. They needed somebody else to go off to at least get a couple of buckets in key moments. And Jalen Brunson did that at times in this game, but wasn't able to do it well enough through the whole game to get the Mavs even close to a win.
Yeah, 3 points in the first half. And like you said, it's weird when, fouls, just when your rotation gets thrown off, how it just can kind of just mess you up mentally for the game. When he picked up, Jay Crowder flopped. I mean, it was a sucky call, that 3rd foul, but only playing 11 minutes in the first half, only scoring 3 points. It just felt like he could never get his groove. And even in the second half, like I wanted him to attack when Booker and, Chris Paul's on the floor and they have Shamet and Campaign, like that's when he has to feast. He has to get into the paint and do his thing. And he was a little bit better there in the second half, but they just, how this team is constructed, they have to have more. And I want to say, I'm not trying to point everything to Brunson and be like, Brunson, I want to give Brunson another game or two against this really good Suns team. But
no referendum on him yet.
Well, I mean, obviously, I got some tweets tonight. I was like, oh, what about this guy? You paying him now? I'm like,
did he lose so much money tonight? It's like, okay, well, let's wait till
Twitter.
the end.
Twitter was a dumpster fire, but it's just. Yeah, let's see a game to where he doesn't get a 3rd foul called and it's dumb and it's early.
Yeah, so he definitely has to be better. It's one of the things that went wrong for the Mavericks. Throw Spencer Dinwiddie in there too. He had 8 points. He was 3 of 8. He played 30 minutes, same amount as Jalen Brunson, but he couldn't really get anything going. And the Suns really took those 2 guys out of it, and they didn't double Luka. They didn't double Luka very much at all in this game. And so Luka was able to get some things going. We'll talk about that and the things that went right. But the Mavericks defense, probably top of the list was the Mavericks defense. Luka said it was their defense. I think that the quote afterwards is, our defense lost us this game today. Our defense at the start was terrible. And it was. The Mavs defense was really bad. This was just not a defense that we've seen through, this whole season, basically, like the entire season, the team that has become a really good defensive team. At halftime, the Suns had an offensive rating, points scored per 100 possessions, at 140.8. Like that's is getting dominated in such a convincing fashion that it's just like wouldn't even make sense in an NBA game. Like that number is out of this world. And so honestly, for the Mavericks to only be down by 13 when the Suns had an offensive rating of 140, we may talk about that and what went right, but it was the Mavs defense that was just so bad. DeAndre Ayton, 25 points in this game. I think he had 19 he had 19 at the half. He can get what he's going to get. We knew that going into this. He's just going to all those shots, nothing that he took in this game surprised me at all. The little turnarounds, the over the one shoulder, over the other, over the other shoulder, the dunks when guys are missing rotations and things like that. That stuff is all going to go, right? They're not worried about anything like that he's doing, or they're worried about anything he's doing, but there's nothing really that the Mavs can do because they just don't have the personnel to match up with him.
Yeah, you don't. So he's attempted 20 shots. He attempted 20 shots tonight. Rudy Gobert attempted 33 shots the entire series against the Mavs in 6 games.
Honestly, Ayton 25 points on 20 shots is a win for the Mavs.
Yeah. So it's just Dallas just doesn't have, I saw a couple tweets and I was like, hey, Dallas, just has a zero answer for Ayton. And they really don't, but we can talk more about in the third segment. Could you do something offensively that could negate him a little in the sense, like we'll talk about the small ball stuff because that's when everything changed for Dallas. That's what they're going to lean into. We'll talk more about it on tomorrow's pod. Dorian at the 5 and saying, screw this. We're just going to lean all offense because DeAndre, and that's the difference, right? Like we all watched this game tonight of DeAndre Ayton, catching the ball there in the paint or on the block and having a little move and what a difference it is having a guy who at least has some type of touch off the short roll that can just do a little like push floater with one hand. And it's like, what is like
some of his pick and rolls traveled like shortest distance on the court that I think than anybody, right? Like he had a little pick and roll. I think it was with Campaign where he just kind of like, he rolled maybe like 2 feet. You're like, how is that? Is that still considered a roll if he rolls 2 feet and then gets that little floater up? But let's transition to what went right in this game because we have to talk about Luka Doncic, 45 points in this game. He now has 6 45-point games in the playoffs in his NBA career, and he has not played that many playoff games.
In 17 games.
17 playoff games for Luka Doncic. It's the 142nd 45-point game in NBA history. So it's only happened 141 times, which is kind of wild thinking about every player that's played a playoff game. And now only 19 players in NBA history have 6 or more 40-point games in the playoffs. Only 17 players have more than him. You want to hear that? You want to hear the players?
You're really going to read off this whole list.
Oh yeah, I'm reading the whole list. We got to talk about the positives. This is a positive that Luka had another 40-point game and he's incredible. These are the players with more 40-point games than Luka in the playoffs in NBA history. These are the only ones. Jordan, LeBron, Jerry West, Elgin Baylor, KD, Kobe, Wilt, Shaq, Hakeem, Iverson, Kareem, Harden, Rick Barry, Bernard King, Dirk, Dwayne Wade, Russell Westbrook, Steph Curry, George Gervin. Curry and Gervin only have 6, so they're tied with Luka. So those are the only ones. It's an incredible list to be in. Luka, so 23 years old.
The positive, as we transition to positives here, one of the positives from this game is, and this isn't breaking news for Mavs fans, but Mikal Bridges or not, they don't have an answer for Luka Doncic.
No, like
Luka is Luka, and Luka, it felt like he could score whenever. It felt like he could do it. Like Luka can get his points, and Luka can find his teammates. Like I saw that, kind of throwing out like Dorian and Reggie tonight. This was huge tonight. They were 4 of 13 from 3. Like that was one of my notes of saying I was wondering if Dallas would get their 3-point attempts tonight because that was a stat that we've been watching.
Almost did.
Because what did Phoenix is really good at limiting opposing teams' threes, right?
Yep.
Like we said the stat of the past few days to where they only give up 11 made threes a game and around 34 attempts per game. Well, where did Dallas come in tonight? They hit 16 threes tonight and shot 39 threes. So what that tells me is no matter how good Phoenix is defensively, Dallas will get their 3-pointers off. And that's a testament to Luka just finding anybody and hitting the pass.
And the Suns were 4th in the NBA in allowing corner threes. Like they don't allow any corner threes. That's part of their whole scheme. They don't allow any corner threes. The Mavs got 13 off in this game. That's where they actually made. Whoa, actually, wait, hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Was that your stank face?
10. they got off. They made a lot of their corner threes, and that's where the Mavs were able to capitalize a lot. Is on those corner threes, and Phoenix usually doesn't allow those at all. So that's a positive. That's something that went right for the Mavs. The 3-point shooting, and Maxi Kleber was awesome shooting from 3. He hit his first 5 of 6 in the game. He had 19 points, second leading scorer for the Mavs. Like the Mavs don't win games if he's your second leading scorer unless he's going 8 of 11 from 3 again.
That's the Yogi Ferrell rule of like if Yogi's leading your team in scoring, then.
The Yogi Ferrell rule. But Maxi hitting those threes was right. But the Suns are also, they're kind of living with Luka being able to get whatever he wants to. They're not going to double. They're not going to trap. It's just relying on the other guys to try and beat their man one-on-one.
But Dallas still got their threes, though. It's not like they
Yeah.
stayed home and then Luka was just getting layups. And it's like, all right, well, Luka's
he got 2 dunks in this game. I don't know.
He did, which was impressive. but they still got open looks. It's the other guys. They got to figure out other ways. And this is like, if you want to do the full, hey, what's the full pro Dallas spin of this? As Phoenix was flaming hot, like torching hot from
through 3 quarters.
The entire, basically the entire game or through 3 quarters. Dinwiddie and Brunson were basically a no-show for the whole game, and Brunson was in foul trouble. And it's like, and they missed a ton of threes in this game too. So it's like, it took all of that. It was like the perfect storm, for Dallas.
Of a bad game.
Yeah, of a bad game. And Dallas was still like fighting for it at the end. It wasn't close. Phoenix had stretched that game out, but it was at least like they kept it a 10-point game most of that game. And I'm like, how? It feels like they're up by 25. And I'm like, wait, are we really down by just 8 right now? They just kept it with
they would hit
distance.
They would hit a 3 and be down 8. And you're like, wait, hold on. What is happening?
And what happened in the fourth? Like they eventually came back down to earth. Phoenix did, and they shot 28% in the fourth quarter. They were 1 of 8 from 3. And the biggest thing of all for Dallas is it feels like they found a little bit of something there with playing Dorian at the 5 and saying, Dwight, you're just done. And we're just going to embrace the small ball and say, screw this. Like let's just have fun out there and do this thing. And Phoenix, it kind of threw them for a loop, and they're going to be prepping for that tomorrow.
Coming up, let's talk about that fourth quarter. What did the Mavericks find in that fourth quarter that could maybe translate into a win later in the series? We'll talk about that and more. But before we do, let me tell you about Built Bar. It's a protein bar that tastes like a candy bar. They're delicious. They're good for you. They have new granola bars. I haven't pulled the trigger on the granola bars yet.
I haven't either.
I'm interested to see if anybody has had any of those. Tweet us or let us know if you've had the Built granola bars. But I do know that I love the Churro Puff Bar. 140 calories, 17 grams of protein, 6 grams of sugar in a bar covered in 100% chocolate with marshmallow in the middle. They're delicious. We eat them all the time. We spend our own money on them. We literally go out of our way to buy these. Go ahead, check out built.com. Use the promo code LOCKED15. That's LOCKED15 to get 15% off your entire order a bunch of times. You can use that more than once. I've used that promo code a lot. It'll keep telling them that you got Built Bars from us, which we appreciate, which then helps them know that they're getting help from us. Then they re-up with us and it all helps. So appreciate you guys doing that. The mint brownie is great. Cherry barcia, the double chocolate, pretty much any of these bars you can't go wrong with. Cookies and cream people love. The puffs are awesome. Go check them out. Built.com. Use the promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at Built.com. All right, Isaac Harris, let's talk about that fourth quarter, because the fourth quarter the Mavericks actually won, which is surprising that the Mavericks won a quarter in this game, because it seemed like the Mavericks were getting dominated all game. But the Mavericks decided to go small. At about the 10-minute mark, they decided to take out Maxey, and they never put back Maxey or Dwight back in there again. They had Smalls on Ayton, and they were kind of fronting him a little bit more. And Dorian is a better defender than both Maxey and Dwight. And it turns out he's a better defender on both point guards and wings and centers. And that's something that went right for the Mavericks. And I'm curious how much we see that look going forward.
So Law Murray from The Athletic, he tweeted out the stat.
Friend of the pod.
Yeah, friend of the pod. Great reporter for the Clippers. He tweeted out the stat. He said the Suns have outscored the Mavs by 19 points when Dwight Powell or Maxey have been on the floor. And that's not good. So
turns out
that's not good. But Dallas embraced, this was one of our questions, when we had the crossover pod with Brendan, is how does the small ball stuff work with DeAndre Ayton? And can it negate it some? Like, because if you come down the other end and they just want to run post ups every time for DeAndre Ayton, sure, do it.
Mavs will live with that.
It'll at least throw you off your rhythm offensively, but they're not going to do it because they want to keep the rhythm on offense. So then it just comes down to the other end, and they were taking advantage of it, and they're getting threes. They're putting, Ayton in more actions and all of that. So I'm really curious. It's definitely something, the center rotation for Dallas over these next few games. We'll talk about it more tomorrow night, but Maxey, Dwight, Dorian, Like, is there a world that you start Maxey and just say, Dwight, you're done for this series, and outside of Maxey at 5, you're running Dorian as your backup 5?
Yeah, I mean, I think you play Dwight as like he spells Maxey or Dorian at the 5 for those like JaVale McGee minutes. Like if the Suns are gonna play, the Suns were almost playing full bench lineups, which was kind of disrespectful. Like just kind of completely, like they would play these full bench lineups. Which, by the way, another thing for the Mavs is that Chris Paul didn't even play 30 minutes in this game. Like that we didn't even see the full brunt of the Suns if they were just gonna go all out.
Can't he even play 30 minutes anymore?
That's all we got left is just Chris Paul age jokes after that game.
Well, shout out to Devin Booker. He had one playoff run. Now he thinks he's legit Kobe.
Devin Booker in this game got the most literal taunting technical foul ever. Like literally hits that shot, looks at Brunson, gives him the mean mug, like yells "F you" or something at him, and then gets called for the taunting. And he was like, "Wait, what? Taunting tech?"
It's
and you're
the
like,
playoffs, which I'm fine with, but
no. I hate that taunting foul because everybody does it. Everybody does the mean mug at somebody. It's just because he was so close to him and looked at him, but it was very literal. Like, yes, you were taunting. That's literally the definition of taunting.
Yeah. And what? Real quick, get it out of the way. For me, if they should have reviewed the foul on Maxey, like the Maxey
JaVale McGee when he in the back.
That pissed me off. Of all the things that they review in this league, the dumb things they spend time on, Maxey falls on his back and feels like, did he just break his back? And they literally call a foul. The only contact there is JaVale McGee's arm on the back of Maxey's, back and pushing him, as he's going. He had the momentum, but it still caused more momentum. They should have reviewed it. It didn't cause the game or anything, but I was just dumbfounded that they didn't even review it.
Yeah, and I don't think we ever saw a good enough replay that showed that JaVale McGee like ran through him with his forearm out or his hand out to try and kind of like brace his fall, but also just like to brace JaVale McGee's fall. But then it caused Maxey to slip on the rim, fall, and that was a scary fall for Maxey. Yeah. So yeah, I'm surprised they didn't review that either, but it didn't decide anything in the game at all.
Review Booker's face. So
if JaVale McGee would have been kicked out, the Mavs would have won. I'm calling that right now. But things that went well in the fourth quarter. The Mavericks decided to go small. They started to get some stuff going, and it kind of honestly looked like when the Jazz went small in the first round series, it looked like they finally like, oh my gosh, the lane is open. We're getting so many things down low. Luka was able to get the ISOs on Ayton, and if the Mavs are small in that look, then all of a sudden Luka can get to the rim and Luka can get to the basket, and that's just something that we haven't seen a lot in. So in this game so far because Ayton was there or Bridges was able to rotate. But when you have all those shooters and you just have Luka and Ayton one-on-one, then all of a sudden they can't pack the paint as much. Then they can't sag off of anybody. They can't sag off of Josh Green. They can't sag off of Dwight or even Maxey or somebody like that. So that's definitely something that we have to watch for, something that's really interesting. And we lost Isaac. Internet connection storm happening in Dallas. But if you want to look at this thing glass half full, the Suns had no answer for Luka. That's a positive for the Mavs, even though they didn't try to throw doubles, because if they do start trying to throw doubles, then all of a sudden it opens things up for Dinwiddie and Brunson. Brunson hopefully will not look as bad as he did in this game. He absolutely has to show up. Hopefully he'll not be in foul trouble. Hopefully he'll get a rhythm a little bit earlier, and he's got to step up. For the Mavericks to have any chance in this series, he's got to step up and he's got to play the way that he did against the Jazz, or at least a little bit of that, since Luka is there and Luka is dominating. You're looking at it glass half full. No answer for Luka. Brunson will be better. And that small ball unit, the Mavericks will probably go back to that. And if that fourth quarter did show the Mavericks something, and if that's actually how they're going to play, and it wasn't just the Suns just like messing around and not really caring about the fourth quarter at all, then maybe that's an answer for the Mavs. And maybe all of a sudden that's something that the Mavs could unleash a little bit more throughout the rest of this game. So those are definitely the things to look at. The Suns, I don't think are going to shoot 60, 50, 100 through three quarters in another game. They absolutely could, because they're a really, really good team, and we should expect this team to be really, really good. But that's shooting really, really great. The Mavericks also will probably not come out of the gate being completely lost, deer in the headlights, not knowing what to do to start a game again. They got punched in the mouth in that first quarter. It was really bad to start this game, and I don't expect the Mavericks to do that again. I expect them to know, okay, this is how we play. We've settled in now. We understand how to play in this game, or the level that we have to play. And honestly, this is great. This series should be great for the Mavericks and for the franchise and for these players, because This is a championship level team. This is a team that went to the finals last year and was close to winning it. This is a team that is built for right now, one of the 25 best records in NBA history through 82 games. This Mavericks team now gets to measure themselves up against that and see what they need and what they have to do, both individually as players. So for Jalen Brunson, you want to get paid? You want to get paid a ton? You want to be a secondary star or a secondary featured player on an offense? This is a series you got to show up in. This is a series you got to show what you're made of in. This is huge for this team. Spencer Dinwiddie, you want to be the third guard? You want to be the third Heat? Okay, this is a series you got to show up in. This is a series you got to put up some numbers and do some stuff in. Luka's already showing that he's just great no matter what, but this is a great series for the Mavs. Is this a series we finally learned that the Mavs need another big? This is the glass half full of this game is all those things we mentioned before about not starting so bad like they did in the first quarter of game one. The Suns probably not shooting 1,000,000% from the field again. Brunson not being as bad. They still don't have an answer for Luka. And then this series will teach the Mavericks things about themselves in this franchise. And going forward, that's something the Mavs desperately need. There's no real excuses. There's no this guy was injured. Tim Hardaway, if you want to throw that one out there, maybe Tim Hardaway, he's not helping their defense. So this Mavericks team will learn things. They'll go forward. We'll have game 2 for you. We'll have a preview of game 2 tomorrow. We'll have game 2 post-game. We'll have you covered every single day until the Mavericks are knocked out of the playoffs on Locked On Mavs. Guys, thanks so much for listening to us every single day, making us your first listen, and making us the #1 podcast / show on all of Locked On. That's incredible. For the month of April, we were the #1 show. It's all because of the Raccoon Squad. Thanks for making us your first listen. Now make your next listen your second listen. Locked On NBA. Local experts covering all the biggest stories. It's Monday through Friday in less than 30 minutes. I'm there on Thursdays. Free and available wherever you get your podcasts. That's Locked On NBA. Guys, thanks so much for listening to Locked On Mavs. Peace out. Boom!